The other one that I wanted to read today is one of my favorites, and it's the story behind the name of Mount Pearl. In my travels, I often come across interesting tales from Newfoundland and Labrador. Where I did not expect to learn one was in Korea. I was there in the fall of 2019, representing Heritage NL at a world conference on intangible cultural heritage. And while I was there, I met two colleagues from Singapore, Melody Zacchaeus, a journalist with the Straits Times newspaper, and Yo Kirk Siang, Director of Heritage Research and Assessment Division of Singapore's National Heritage Board. "Oh, you're from Newfoundland," one of them said. "We have a spot in Singapore named after someone from Newfoundland." There are several roads that are named after places in Canada, including Canada Road, Ottawa Road, and Montreal Road, Yo told me. These are located in certain parts of Singapore near the naval base that once housed the British Royal Navy. But what interests me was a different Singapore place name, Pearl, or Pearls Hill. What we know about the James Pearl in Singapore is that he was a Royal Naval Officer Captain who commanded a merchant ship, the Indiana, which brought Sir Stamford Raffles from Penang to Singapore in January 1819, says Yo. There is some uncertainty if Singapore's James Pearl is the same man known as a naval hero here in Newfoundland and Labrador. The Singaporean records have no mention of his being knighted, nor of him retiring to Canada, while the Newfoundland story has no record of his connection to the settlement of Singapore. In addition, the two places accord him different ranks, captain and commander, but it's the ship Indiana that seems to be the link, suggesting the two James Pearls were one man. According to Newfoundland researchers Donald Hutchins and Lila Ross, the Indiana was constructed in Calcutta, India in 1818. It was made of teak and sheathed in copper and had a crew of 54. The James Pearl, who would eventually settle in Newfoundland, had taken a leave of absence from the British Navy and had sailed to Asia to work as a free trader to pay off his gambling debts. It was there that he purchased the Indiana. According to the Singaporean historians, their James Pearl, also in command of the Indiana, was hired by British statesman Sir Thomas Stamford Bingley Raffles to take him to Singapore. Arriving in Singapore on board the Indiana, Raffles oversaw the transfer of control of the island to the East India Company, effectively making it a British colony. A day later, Raffles left Singapore on board another ship and would not return for several years. While Raffles was away, James Pearl had a good look around the place. In particular, he liked the look of one of the settlement's two hills. He decided it would be an excellent spot to build a home. Pearl began acquiring plot after plot of land on the hill without the knowledge of Sir Thomas, either from the Chinese planters themselves or from a Malay official. The hill was a location of plantations owned by the Chinese, who used the area to grow gambier, a plant used locally for medicinal purposes, but was also used in the production of kutch, a mixture used by sailors and fishermen, including those here in Newfoundland, for barking nets and sails. Always with an eye to making a profit, Pearl had laborers clear the slopes to plant pepper vines instead. And still paying off his gambling debts, in December of 1821, he sailed the Indiana to Calcutta, where he loaded up with textiles, spices, and 175 chests of opium. Each chest held 40 cakes of opium weighing close to 3 pounds each. Sale of opium was legal for the most part, though the sale was banned in China, and it could not be carried by ships of the East India Company. Pearl saw an opportunity as a private trader and sailed off in the direction of Borneo. When he arrived, he found that the Dutch had blocked all the ports to outside traders, and so he was forced to sail back to Singapore and sell his opium at a loss. James Pearl's only experiment as an opium dealer had been a failure. Work continued, however, on his hillside plantation, and by May 1822, Pearl owned the entire hill, and he had Chinese and Malay workmen build him a house. In honor of his employer, Pearl named the hill Mount Stanford. But when Raffles returned from Sumatra in October of that year, he was less than pleased. Raffles accused him of illegally acquiring the land. Likely to have been angered as a result, Captain Pearl changed the site's name to Pearl's Hill. And this name was reflected in an 1836 fold-out map called Map of the Town and Environs of Singapore. Leaving his name on the place, Pearl left Singapore around 1826, never to return. And he sold the hill to the colonial authorities a few years later. When he retired, he embarked on a new journey, the one better known to us here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Knowing that members of the Royal Navy were typically granted 1,000 acres of British land in thanks for their service, and hearing that Governor Thomas Cochrane was promoting settlement and farming in Newfoundland, he moved to the island. And here, an oddly similar story played out. Pearl requested 1,000 acres of land from Cochrane. Cochrane was not fond of Pearl and gave him 500, since he himself only owned 685. Pearl, true to fashion, got around this. As the land surveyor was Pearl's brother-in-law, he managed to get 800 acres without the governor's knowledge and named the spot Mount Cochrane in the governor's honor. The governor was displeased with Pearl's scheming, and the two remained on poor terms. When Cochrane's term as governor was up, he left the island, and James Pearl renamed his estate Mount Pearl instead. The story says something about the character of the man after whom a city is named. 2 hills, 2 sketchy land deals, 2 fights with 2 different governors, and 1 ego big enough to name both places after himself. And that's the story of how Mount Pearl and Pearl's Hill got its name. Thank you very much.
All right.